Hey everyone, this is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Want to give you a quick update on the weather today and what's going on in the tropics, because things are definitely getting more active, though there's no imminent threat. There's no hurricane, tropical storm, nothing like that. We got a lot of hype this week from these systems, and the good news is nothing is going to imminently threaten us right now. But there's a couple things I'm keeping an eye on. Obviously, our social media famous 99L, which is just still a tropical wave, though it's got a lot of convection, very loosely organized. Newly Investigation Area 91L is actually the ghost of Fiona, it looks like. That system's got a nice spin with it, but it's disorganized as well. And then there's a trough on the Gulf Coast, which is a rainmaker. This one is not going to develop. This, I'd say, is a big question mark. And there's a little bit of a question mark here. These two are really the ones to keep an eye on. But both of them, let's be honest, are not in a big hurry to develop right now. Let me show you the wind flow around these. The one thing that's interesting about the one near Bermuda, it's actually got a nice little circulation with it. This is still an open wave. You can see there's strong winds on the north side, but it's not a closed off circulation. And there's the only real storm, which is Tropical Storm Gaston out there. So this is interesting to keep an eye on for a couple of reasons. One, it's got a nice little swirl with it, and I'll go in close. But the one thing that you notice here is there's an upper low here. So there's a whole bunch of wind shear right here, and a lot of dry air. And if you can't believe me with the dry air, just take a look at the water vapor loop here. Look at all this dry air. And this dry air is actually getting entrained, we call it, into the circulation center. So this is going to have a real tough time gaining any strength. It's not a favorable environment. You've got wind shear and dry air, which kind of spells doom for this system. But it is a trackable system, so something to keep an eye on. Let's show you what it looks like on the models, because I think it's important to look at those. We can kind of show you what it looks like from the guidance models. And again, we've got some pretty good data out here now, which is actually a good, it's a good thing. We've got some decent model data. The Hurricane Global Hawk, which takes off, it's a drone, takes off from the Wallop Islands, actually drops some drop sounds out here. So you can see the majority of the guidance has a system. Now remember, these are tracks of a low. These aren't anything about intensity. This thing could just be a swirl. So don't look at this as a hurricane or tropical storm. Just look at it as it's an area we're tracking. So while you see all these line tracks, doesn't mean it's going to be a tropical storm or hurricane. Most of them come near the coast and then recurve out to sea. There's a couple that get close, but let's say the mean or the average is like this. So it's going to get close to us. It's not going to be strong because of the shear and dry air. So overall, this is not a threat to the Carolina coast. What it is doing, though, and it's something to keep a very close eye on today, it's producing some nasty rip currents up and down the coast. In fact, I was just looking at some of the storm reports, especially on the South Carolina coast, a whole bunch of reports of water rescues going on because of a rip current and high surf. So that's the thing that we have to watch out for, is the rip current threat. Now, the low down to the south, got to keep an eye on that, because if this gets into the Gulf of Mexico, it could strengthen. It's not going to become a huge storm, but this could be a big rainmaker. And the nice thing about this system that I'm watching is I'm hoping it gets into the Gulf, gets a little bit of strength, and then recurves up here into the Carolinas, because then we would get much needed rain. So it's something to keep an eye on. There's nothing imminent that these things are going to crank up and develop into something strong. Just something to keep an eye on. Just, don't change your beach plans. Don't cancel trips or anything. None of these are forecast to become a hurricane right now. The big story is going to be rip currents and rain, hopefully, from these systems. So it's something to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. Otherwise, for us this weekend, blazing hot right now. Already well into the 90s, and with this ridge of high pressure parked on top of us, it is going to be a hot weekend. I'll post another update maybe tomorrow or Monday if anything changes, but just something to keep an eye on and keep you up to date on what's going on in the tropics. We're getting towards the peak of the season, so you would expect to see things starting to heat up. In the tropical Atlantic, we'll have to see. It's been an 11-year drought since we've had a major hurricane hit the U.S. Let's try to make it 12. Have a great weekend.